Hey guys, welcome to this tutorial of how to draw Goku Mastered Ultra Instinct. Today we're going to be focusing on just a simple pose. I just wanted to keep it simple for my first how to draw character tutorial. So we're literally just going to be looking at Goku from right here and up and this point of view. Just wanted to be simple, didn't want to get too crazy in terms of positions and angles and make it too hard. I think it's better to learn the fundamentals and the basics of a character before you start diving in too deep in crazy positions and fighting poses. One thing I would like to note is I got a new camera, a Panasonic G7, and I was initially using an iPhone 6. So this was a big step up for me, and I am now dealing with all types of modes, buttons, things that the camera comes with, and I honestly have no idea what I'm doing. So the first 30 minutes, which is the sketch of the drawing, I recorded it accidentally in some different mode, and so I noticed after I recorded it there's some slow lines going down like this, and then when I speed it up it's obviously gonna go a little bit faster, so please just ignore those. And then the inking and then the coloring, it's gone. And yeah, so that's about it for this. So let's get on in the tutorial.
Alright, getting into this tutorial, I just want to say you're going to notice me making some hand movements and gestures with the pencil, and that's because I recorded this and did audio at the same time, but if I kept that, you guys would be here for about an hour and a half. So I decided to just speed it up and do a voiceover. So I started with a 1-inch box all around, so each miniature box within the box, the 4 boxes within the large box, are 1/2 inch. And you want to use the cross as a good reference, and you're going to start from the center and kind of start working on the jawline and the chin and coming together at the bottom of the box, like so. And I like to work on the head first rather than the eyes, because I feel like the head is it's good to get the head down first because it acts as a boundary for your facial features. Whereas if you started with the eyes first, you're going to maybe draw them too large or too small than you anticipated, and then your character is much larger on the page and you wanted to do a full body, but now you have to do half body because you drew the eyes too big and you had to just work from there. So I like working with the head first because, again, it acts as a boundary for your facial features. Here I work on the ears. It's pretty straightforward. You just want to go a little bit outside the box and not too high up from the center line, and then start to shape out the ears. You want to get used to how the Dragon Ball ears look, so you can kind of just draw them in your sleep, because at this point I can draw Dragon Ball ears like I know the back of my hand. And then I'm going to start working on the sideburns and coming in a little bit, hitting that box, and then going out and then back up to the top corner, and then just make the top of the head line across like I'm doing right now. Now once we have the head, we can start working on the facial features, and we know how big they need to be based on the head. So we're going to start with the famous Dragon Ball W right in between the eyes, and then work from the eyebrows. I like to make the eyebrows on the edge the same angle as the sideburns, and then just kind of make a little line there, and then just start working in the eyebrows to meet the center like I'm doing right now. It's a good way to work on the eyebrows and makes it a little bit less challenging, because sometimes people have problems drawing the second eye. From there, we're going to go ahead and make the eyes, and the higher up, see right there, if the eye is large like that, you're not going to look as menacing, whereas if you were to bring it the bottom curved up like that, you're going to get a little bit more of a menacing look. And then we're going to add in the iris and then the pupil, looking straight at us, so we're going to keep it in the center and then make the very easy lines above the eyebrows and under the eyes, of course. pretty straightforward here. You just kind of make some curvy lines. For the nose, we're gonna make somewhat of a triangle and then a line in the middle, and then just kind of connect the left line to the nose on the right, kind of go down in the middle and then back up and kind of create this little tiny triangle on the outside of the nose. And then right under the nose, you're gonna wanna make your mouth, and then about the distance between the nose and the mouth, you're gonna wanna double that and then make the chin mark, or the little indent in between, right under the mouth, above the chin. Working on the hair, you're gonna wanna generally start with the spikes first if you're dealing with Goku, because it's, in my opinion, it's a little bit easier to do it this way. One thing I've noticed that people kind of make some errors on are the hair spikes, and the hair in general is a little bit too small, because when you look at humans in real life, their hair is not that large, and then other anime characters, their hair is not that large, and then you're just thinking of the top part of Goku's head, and so you want to kind of visualize that, and you start to make the hair a little bit too small, and then once it's all done, it kind of looks weird, but you're not sure why, and it's usually because the hair is a little bit too small. So don't be afraid to make that hair kind of larger than you expect. Sometimes I even catch myself making this mistake in drawing the hair a little bit too small. Alright, so now we're going to start with the bottom spikes. They're pretty easy to work with. You can make, for this drawing, I made the left one go up and the right one kind of go down, just to give Goku a little bit of a flowy hair look. And then just kind of work your way up with the spikes from there. In a moment, I'm going to show you when working with the top spikes, it's kind of good, specifically for Goku, this doesn't work for Vegeta, is to kind of sketch out a circle as if it's the top of Goku's head. So sometimes people really miss this one where they make it way too far out, and it's the first thing that I see that just screams like right out there, that was just way too far, and that's what I was trying to provide in an example, is you don't want to make it too far out, because this is probably the biggest part of Goku's hair that will draw attention if drawn in an awkward way and it's too far out. You want to kind of sketch out a circle like I did right there to represent the top of Goku's head. Even though that kind of looks too high up, once you erase it, it then kind of corrects itself and looks fine, and just kind of use that for the round side of his head, and then from there you can work on the other spikes and build from that area. One thing you really want to know and remember about sketching is you're constantly refining and working at it. It's not going to be correct the first time. Moving on to the neck plays a huge role in making a Dragon Ball Z character look buff or not. Like I just showed, if you have the neck within the jawline, it's going to be really skinny. If you go outside the ears, Goku's going to be looking pretty buff. But if you want to keep him moderate, you kind of go with this length right just inside the ears, where the ears meet the face. That's where I like to do it, because it's kind of a moderate size, but you know, you want to give Goku a decent look to him, and you want to make sure that you round out his muscles, because you know, Goku's kind of strong, right? Kinda, maybe, just a little bit. And then for the neck veins details, you just go ahead and make a V and round it out the bottom. Don't make it too sharp. And then from where that meets, you go ahead and add the chest and just make it nice and round and pretty big. You know, Dragon Ball Z characters have a decent sized chest. And then go ahead and round out the shoulders. Again, you want to make those pretty round as well. You know, Goku hits the gym pretty hard, so you got to show that muscle definition. All right, so far it looks pretty good, and now we can go ahead and start adding the hair details. I usually like to add a line out of the tips on every one of my spikes. And then when you add the other lines, I usually like to make sure that there's another line that meets them. If a hairline is going to show, you can see that they're all right there. It's not connected to anything. I usually like to connect my hairlines to another wall. It meets another wall, I guess, if that makes sense. So we're just about done with the sketch. I'm just going to go ahead and refine things with the Kneaded eraser and kind of erase the square that was used for my reference, and just clean up some lines. And then lastly, we're going to take the Kneaded eraser and kind of just pat it down to lighten up the graphite, so we don't have to have as much graphite on the page when we ink. And then when we ink, it's very light, and then we could just lightly erase it, and we don't have to potentially erase or smear the ink on the paper. All right, when inking, I use a multiliner Copic, or a Copic multiliner, and I use 0.03 and 0.1. And the reason why I'm showing this part, because yeah, it's like, okay, you're just tracing. I wanted to make note that it's okay to ink whatever you're in a way that you're comfortable and that you get the lines down. That's what matters. So sometimes people think that, you know, because in the YouTube video they ink it and it's the paper's not moving, I need to ink it and the paper's not moving. You know, if they can do that, that's great. But if you need to turn the page like I'm doing right now, just to get an advantage in terms of making your lines smooth, go ahead and do that. Rotate the page. And that's what I'm trying to show here, is it's fine to rotate the page if you need to help yourself. Getting into the coloring, I just added a little box just to make it easier and keep the colors within that box. We're going to start off with our light color Copic, which is E51. We just mastered this Ultra Instinct, so we gotta show him that glowing power, and we're going to leave the outside area of all of his muscles white, and then we're going to just kind of fill in with the E51 and then fill it in again with E39. And see how I'm keeping the edge of the neck and the edge of the chest white while filling in with the E51, and then kind of just repeating the same process with the E39 and just making in that filling in that dark spot. And then we're going to go ahead and eventually take E29 and just give those E39 spots a little bit more detail with the E29, the darker marker. So here's what I meant by taking the E29 and kind of just adding in some thin strips of shading to the edges of the E39 marker. Now once that's all finished, we're going to go ahead and work with the hair, which I'm using C1, C3, and C5. And for the hair, you really just kind of want to flick away towards the tips. Just what I'm doing right here is I'm constantly just like, anything that I know is going to be filled in, I just fill in. But when I deal with the spikes, I usually just start from the inside and I just flick towards the tip, just to give it kind of that hair look that Dragon Ball has, because they're very spiky in terms of the shading. And you'll see it when I do it with the darker color, the C3 right here.
Well, that sucks.
And right there, I actually had a marker issue where the Copic marker just dropped an entire drop of ink on the page. And yeah, this is an issue with Copic markers. And I actually, after this video, or this drawing, I went and looked it up and learned that actually if you want to fix that, you have to take both caps off to equalize pressure so it does not drip. So if you ever have this or want to avoid this problem, take the cap off the other end and let the pressure equalize before coloring. Here I'm taking the C5 and just adding some darker detail. And just some final touches, adding the little white pen in the eye to give it a shine, and then just giving some random lines in the background just to add some type of definition in the background.
Thank you for watching. I hope you really enjoyed that tutorial. I hope you learned something from it, and I would love to see your creations from it. Please tag me in anything that you post of this tutorial. I would love to see it. Stay tuned for a next drawing, which is going to be my little take on Mastered Ultra Instinct. And don't forget to share the video, it really helps me out. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here, hit the bell notification for constant updates of my videos, and I will see you guys next week. Again, thanks for watching. Take care.